listeners and viewers, please welcome the host of my guest at this time, Jose Gonzalez.
Hey everybody, welcome to the very first episode of my guest at this time. Jose Gonzalez here. I'm so excited for this journey, and I figured if I'm going to bring in the perfect debut guest for my guest at this time, who better than someone who's an interview extraordinaire? You've seen him all over the place, whether it's a media scrum, whether it's a convention, whether it's an airport in Detroit, Michigan. It is the one and only Muscle Man Malcolm.
And he has two hats now because I got my hat stolen and it hurt my feelings. But hello, how are you?
I'm good. I mean, thank you for joining me. You are quite the busy man. I mean, you've been everywhere and anywhere in the last few months. I'm surprised that you found time in the day for today.
Yo, I'm going to apologize on air too. I was like 10, 20 minutes late to this because like people want interviews and then people keep talking too long. Life is hard. But, I want to make sure I was here for this episode because this is my favorite wrestling podcast ever.
Yep. His favorite wrestling podcast ever that hasn't debuted yet.
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite.
Yeah, it can only go down from here, folks. So,
right?
I mean,
we're on the sinking ship.
Yeah, it happens. So, but yeah, I mean, Malcolm, thanks for taking some time out of my day. You've been doing so much stuff. I remember first meeting you actually back last Mania weekend in Dallas for the first time.
Yep.
Seeing you on the floor at WrestleCon, vlogging, interviewing. I mean, you've really, like, in the last few years, stepped up your game across all sorts of your content games. So, I mean, what has really helped you kind of find your flow with what you're doing nowadays?
Oh, man. I mean, like, I think I just got more free time because I graduated school. Then I went back to school, so now I'm more busy. But I think, honestly, it's just more like I realized that I hit a plateau in, like, the content I was making, and I just needed to make a shift. And I think with, like, the pandemic and whatnot, like, it led to, like, more people talking about Zoom. I never knew what Zoom was until during the pandemic. So during that moment, I realized I'm like, all right, how do people make content and make it look good? And it's actually interesting. It's not going to keep me bored and editing all day. Let me do interviews. This is a lot of fun. I get to talk to people I love, and it's just been a great time. So, like, just leading this new charge of, like, in my opinion, of, like, wrestling interviewers, I feel like there's a good scene of us right now are like, the next come up. Myself, Ella J, Samira, yourself, everyone. Like, it's a good time to be alive. It's a good time to watch wrestling. So it's an even better time to watch Muscle Man Malcolm. So...
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the thing with your interview style is that it doesn't feel like a question and answer. It genuinely feels like a conversation because there's so much personality that you interject into it, obviously, because you were a fan first and you're still a fan now. So how's it been kind of transitioning from watching the product casually to really thinking about, like, the finer details and more, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff now?
I mean, I feel like because this is stuff I always, like, looked up and talked about that, like, just in conversation with my friends. So it felt like I'm just talking to the actual person that does it. So it, like, to me, it's like I get an opportunity to talk to people that I grew up watching, like a Booker T or a Jeff Hardy. And it's like, in moments, it's like almost really intimidating to walk up to these people in person. But then it's like, man, we both bleed the same color. So, like, who cares? I really think, like, wrestling interviews is, like, the new wave to, like, understand the business. I feel like there's a lot of people are getting to wrestling nowadays. They're just finding it to be, like, entertaining and not so much like, oh, well, the wrestling's just stupid and fake. Like, they're actually finding it to be, like, entertaining. And I feel like the best way to get more fans in is to show them, like, behind the curtain and actually talk to these men and women and really get to know who they are and talk about, like, the careers that they've had so far, the careers that they retired from. Like, it's a good time. I feel like wrestling interviews is a great way to learn about wrestling. So that's what I'm trying to provide to anyone that wants to watch.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we're kind of in this era now where the line's been blurred a lot more than ever with kayfabe.
Yep.
I mean, we're 10 years into this social media revolution. We've had shows like Total Divas and AEW All Access really showing what happens behind the business. So, I mean, how's it been kind of seeing that kayfabe is not really what it used to be, but, like, we're able to have those more candid conversations now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's really interesting because I'll see, like, different celebrities that, like, I wouldn't expect to talk about, like, pro wrestling are. There's comedian Andrew Schultz, who talks about wrestling a lot. Dylan Dennis, who's not everyone's favorite cup of tea, which is understandable. I understand why. He loves pro wrestling. He wears a lot of vintage wrestling stuff. There's so many, like, different celebrities that I didn't expect to know about wrestling that do. Cardi B loves wrestling, which is crazy. Yeah, there's just so much going on in wrestling that, like, people are now seeing it as, like, an actual media platform and not necessarily just some fake sport that, only children watch. It's more than that. Like, there's stories to tell, there's characters to build, and, like, it's really a good business. So, like, I feel like That like, I mean, you can know wrestling's not real, but that doesn't mean you have to like not like it, you know?
Yeah, and I would say, like, I always tell this to anyone that watches it, it's not that wrestling isn't real, it's that they're doing actual stunts, physical labor in the ring, but they're doing it in a way that still entertains and is done safely. So it's not going in blindly trying to injure someone like you might see with, like, a boxing or an MMA match, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a showmanship to it that people might not appreciate if they don't get to watch it as often. So that's always cool to see. And kind of like going into your origin days from your content, I know we were kind of talking about it before. I had no idea that you started your channel doing stop motion figure videos, which is something that popped me because that was something I always tried to do way back in the day myself. So was it just like, were there any specific channels you were watching at the time that kind of gave you the itch?
Oh boy, yeah, you unlocked some memories. So NYX Wrestling was like my big one. That was my guy. Man, I'm forgetting the other names. There's like triple 123C or something like that.
Remember that? I think Rated WWE was mine that I always watched.
Which one?
Rated WWE.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him too. Yeah. No, I don't know if it's him or her, but whoever they are, I've definitely seen them before. I love stop motion. It was so cool. When I was 13 is when I started my channel, or 13 or 12. I moved up to DC for the first time, and I was like, all right, I'm in a new city, don't have any friends, need something to do. So I had all these wrestling figures, so I was like, well, and I watched NYX on YouTube, so I was like, let me just try to do that. Animating is hard. That takes skill and talent. Talent I don't possess. Stop motion is the poor man's animating, and that's fun. So I did that, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, like, you unlocked so many memories. I forgot I did that, honestly. So thank you.
I still remember my failed attempts to having like 1 to 2 second frames on Windows Movie Maker with like
I used that
song
too.
that did not belong in the background, like some random ass Lemon Demon way back in the day. If that
I always used Eminem songs. It was so, I'm like, I don't even like Eminem, but I just used every Eminem song. It was, oh God, what a weird time.
Yeah, and then trying to like balance figures, like, okay, we're gonna do a head scissor. I'm like, wait, I can't keep him upside down. This is awkward.
Then you try doing like the little strings, but they're like, all right, well, that string's obvious. I gotta get a thinner string. I'm like, oh, that looks stupid. Wrestling, stop motion's hard. I feel like it's not given the credit it deserves, but that's because animating is so much harder that there's a reason why.
I mean, it's just different art and different mediums. So, I mean,
True,
definitely,
true.
like, just going into it, an experience, everything's going to be a lot harder. But it does give you a lot more appreciation once you get your hands on it and try it yourself.
For sure.
So, which, speaking of, I did see also way back in the catalog, you might have stepped into a ring before with some other YouTubers as well, too. Maybe had a match or two for, what was it, a YouTube championship?
Yeah, Grim. Yeah, I had the WWE Shop Championship. I won off of Brandon Hodge. I turned it into the YouTube Wrestling Order Heavyweight Championship because, like, I'm heavyweight. Obviously, you gotta recognize big meaty men.
Awesome.
And then I wrestled Grimm's Toy Show. I wrestled him for his like YouTube Wrestling Figure Heavyweight Championship. Lost because he killed me. Then I wrestled Tommy Salami, who was also on GTS, who was a 400-pound man who jumped off the top rope onto me, but he actually didn't jump on me, but it looked like he did. And because I sell better than Dolph Ziggler, I made it look great. So it was what a crazy time. I can't believe that even happened, honestly. You're just unlocking memories, dude. It was such a sick time in my life. I was 17.
I mean, who's to say? Because, I mean, you still kept up with powerlifting and getting into CrossFit. I mean, you are the son of the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
Yeah, yes, sir.
If there's anyone that knows about a retirement fake out, it is him. So,
It's true.
who's to say that maybe you might not lace up the boots again one day?
Hey, I'm going to give you an exclusive, my brother. So I will step back in a wrestling ring. It will happen. And then I'm going to step back out on the other side and go sit in the seat where I belong. Or I might stay there and actually wrestle a match. Who could it be against? I don't know. But I might wrestle in 2024. Or I might watch a wrestling match in 2024. Who knows? I could be going to wrestling training tonight. Or I could have already came from wrestling training. I didn't. But I could have been at wrestling training. We'll see.
Hey, I mean, you also could have been at ringside at Major League Wrestling accompanying a world heavyweight champion. So
I wasn't at ringside. I was over ringside. I was past the barricade. I was in there.
yeah, I mean, you got to walk out the World Heavyweight Championship at the last MLW show. So, I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah, honestly, because like Alex Kane is such a nice person and offered me a great opportunity that I will have to repay him for someday, which I don't know how to. So I'll just give him very large loads of money to make up for that. He's such a cool dude. Shout out Alex Kane, in my opinion, one of the greatest and most underrated wrestlers in the world right now. Even holding the MLW title, I don't feel like it's enough justice for how good he actually is as a person and as a wrestler. Yeah, I mean, he reached out one day because we've done a few interviews before and asked me if I want to be a part of his entrance. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Then I said, JK, of course I do. But yeah, man, like it was so interesting walking out there and actually seeing a crowd. It was very nerve-wracking to say the least. I saw Matt Cardona, who was also in the ring because they had a tag team match, and it was crazy just seeing Matt Cardona like in a wrestling ring, and I'm like right next to the ring, and I'm technically like a part of this, but not a part of this at all. And also being backstage before you walk out is such a weird point because you're seeing like gorilla position. It's Court Bowers right there. And then you just like look behind and you see like Jacob Fatu's just sipping a beer, and it's just so much going on, and I loved it, and I love MLW. MLW hire me is what I'm saying, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, 2300 Arena, it looks good on you. Wherever they go is going to look good. So
Appreciate that.
I mean, we're talking historical venues, we're talking pay-per-view appearances, but also have made your way around to with some Hall of Famers as well. I mean, we've seen you make a few trips down to Reality Wrestling along with Booker T. So how are those experiences been for you?
Lovely. Shout out Brad Gilmore from Reality Wrestling. He's kind of the guy that set it all up. I just love the whole like crew down there. They have such an amazing like roster of talent that like just hasn't been discovered yet and needs to be. I think every man and woman that I saw in Reality Wrestling should be on AEW or WWE television or even TNA because that's coming back soon, and I'm very happy about that.
So excited about
Right?
that.
Yo, TNA, I could talk about that for ages, bro. But yeah, Reality Wrestling, all the talent down there is really good. Josiah John, I think that's how you say his name, is probably one of, by far, the best independent wrestler that people don't know about yet, and he will be a name soon. Shout out that guy, he's great. Promise Braxton, she's great.
Absolutely.
But yeah, even like Booker T, I mean, like he had a lot going on that day. I don't know if I can say at Liberty what was going on, but he took the time to still do the interview. Great guy. It was just a lovely experience, and I hope I am brought back a little bit more, which I think I will be, and we'll keep on chugging away and making some content. I have some stuff coming out with some Reality Wrestling wrestlers later this week, possibly. So yeah, I hope to be down there more soon, and I will continue to make great content highlighting one of the best territories in professional wrestling, Reality Wrestling.
Absolutely. I feel like Texas really gotten into its own because, I mean, you've had them, New Texas Pro, Mission Pro, but, like, so many stars are starting to come out of there. We've seen Roxanne Perez do amazing things in NXT already, too. Another one that's very underrated that I'm surprised hasn't been signed anywhere yet is Hyon. So seeing her go to Europe and come back, do her stint in Chicago and come back, I mean, she's just another one that's going to have a banner 2024. So
Yeah.
Reality Wrestling is making some stars down in Houston. So
Yeah, even also in the Houston scene as well, just to throw this in there, Zilla Fatu, son of Umaga, he had his debut at Reality Wrestling. He just debuted for GCWA, I think that's Gulf. I don't know what GCWA stands for. Say again?
Gulf Coast?
Yes, Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance. I think that's the name of the promotion. He just debuted down there. I think he's a great guy as a person and as a wrestler. He moves like his dad. He moves like his cousins. The dude is definitely going to be on television. I give him like 2 years max before he's already signed, and I give him 3 before he's in the bloodline. So it's going to happen very soon.
Just seeing the clips from TikTok alone, he is already like
Solid.
punching well above his experience, which brings us kind of. You've also become like one of the standard wrestling TikTok accounts too. So I mean, how is it kind of transitioning into like more like short form and like interactive content that way?
Yeah, I just kind of realized I just needed to do something different with my content in order to like not plateau and fall off. Because like, I don't want to fall off. I'm too young for that. Not yet. Maybe when I'm 30 or 40. But like taking my stuff and realizing that like I can just clip out most of these interviews, and like people are actually going to watch them more than they will on YouTube. Because I have some interviews that'll do a few hundred views on YouTube, but then I'll clip out the best parts, throw it on TikTok, and it's like 50,000 views. I'm like, there's such an untapped potential for like short form content. If you are a creator in the wrestling space or any space, and you're not making short form content, you're losing out on thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands, possibly 1 million views. You need to do it. Because like most people, I feel like know me from TikTok or Instagram more than YouTube, which is fine by me. As long as you know my face, you know I look good. And that's all you need. It's like, please, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Malcolm Muscle. It's lovely. But you should also be making the content yourself. Like if you interview people, clip it, put it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts got the money, so do that. But like short form content is amazing. I love it. TikTok, I can't dance, but I can talk. And that's what
I was gonna say, I feel like the dancing and the other stuff we leave to Erica wrestling, because she's usually your show buddy. It seems like for these AEW shows, it's like her and Emily J seem to be like your partners in crime at some of these AEW shows you get to go to.
Yeah, especially Erica. I mean, Emily's there as well sometimes, but I go to a lot of shows with Erica. She's a character and a half to be around, especially when CM Punk's present. We were leaving the hotel. Not anymore, bro. We were leaving the hotel the day he got fired in Chicago. And as we're walking out, she's like, "Oh, the news." I'm like, "What?" I think Suplex was there as well. So we go on our phones. We're like, "Oh, he got fired." That's crazy. She's in a giant CM Punk jersey, and it's just the funniest thing in the world to me. Poor Erica. I hope she's doing well. I talk to her pretty much every day now, but
to be a fly on the wall seeing that press release, I could only imagine.
Yo, honestly, it was one of those moments I'm like, I'm so upset, all I can do is laugh. And I just laughed, and she seemed like she was done with life. Understandably, if my favorite got fired, I'd probably be upset too, but Omos will never get fired, so it won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a thing for Omos. I mean, where did this love for this man come from? I mean, it just kind of stemmed overnight from what I've seen.
He's big and meaty, and that's why I love him. Okay, so my real story. So Omos actually went into this. It's gonna be a long sentence. My girlfriend's mom's jewelry store to buy an engagement ring, which he didn't buy there. He went somewhere else for his now wife. So my girlfriend's mom took a picture of Omos, sent it to my girlfriend, and she sent it. This is before I even started dating her too. And then she sent it to me. He's like, "Look who my mom met." I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to marry into your family now." That's what led to all of it. Small world, right? I mean, apparently he played college basketball in Maryland, which is wild. I'm from DC, so basically Maryland. And yeah, I mean, just seeing that, I was like, oh, that's so cool that you met someone that knows nothing about wrestling that I'm super connected to. And also he's just tall. I mean, just seeing someone that tall and giant just beat up people is dope. There's a new World Heavyweight Championship. It's made for Omos. When he wins it, there will be peace in the world until there won't be peace in the world. Yeah, I just think Omos should be the World Heavyweight Champion of the WWE, the Divas 24/7 Hardcore Champion of the WWE, the TBS Champion of AEW, the Impact Knockouts World Champion, Tag Team Champion, Impact World Champion, NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, and President.
But what about Queen of FCW? I don't know if the tiara fit on his head.
I don't think it would fit. He got a big dome. I don't think it's going to fit.
Yeah. We'll circle back to that. So, I mean, one of the many accolades that's bound to happen. So, from one love of a very gentle giant to a love of one of the most iconic pandemic promos, or just one of the most iconic promos in wrestling history, you have quite the affinity for the Brandy Rhodes open mic night promo to the point where you could almost recite it word for word, bar from bar.
Who the hell told you that tonight is open mic night? I'm a Christian, so I won't say that on this live stream or current stream. I love it. I think it's so bad that it's great. It's just one of those things that I love unseriousness in wrestling. I feel like more people need to be unserious. People take wrestling too seriously, so that's where I come in. So everything that people hate, I love. Jinder Mahal, love it. Brandy promo, love it. Tyrus, depending on what we're talking about, love him. Just got to put that out there. But Brandy Rhodes promo, honestly, I think all her promos, while they have an element of cringe, if we're being honest, they're so funny. And I like being entertained. And she entertained me, so therefore I will recite it as if it was the Bible.
I mean, it may as well have been, but it also is a good point of wrestling by nature has always still been camp, so it's nice to see that still incorporated nowadays in the day and age of smart marks and everyone having these very technical or high flying matches. What happened to wrestling being hokey?
Right? I mean, I just like some stupid stuff happening, honestly. The more, seeing John Cena AA Batista off a car into, the floor was hilarious to me. I feel like I need to see more of that. It's so dumb that it's just great. That's the kind of wrestling I love.
See, now I'm trying to wonder, what is one of your favorite, gimmick matches. Like, I don't mean like a stipulation. I want like, what is your favorite gimmick match that you think you've ever seen?
I mean, I like the Mountain Dew Kickstart match, like with Bray and LA Knight. I thought that was cool, honestly. I thought that was dope.
I think the way they ended up making it was like a lights out match, kind of. But
yeah, I mean, I thought that was cool. Also, like the Mountain Dew pitch black just tastes great. Like it was a fire drink. I don't even like soda, but I love that. You know what I really liked? I liked when the big Cinnamon Toast Crunch came out during the Dom and Rey Mysterio match. That was my favorite part of the match, personally. The advertising was so in your face; it was just perfect. I liked the Prime bottle. It was KSI in it, and the Seth Rollins jumped on him. That was dope. I don't know if those are gimmick matches, though. What's an example of a gimmick match?
see, I'm thinking like cringy stuff like the Reverse Battle Royal from TNA. I'm thinking Fulfill Your Fantasy Battle Royal, or just like some crazy stipulation. I mean, the Eye for an Eye match is a gimmick match.
Okay, that's actually probably the one. Eye for an eye, because like it's like obviously no one's gonna lose a real eye, so like you're interested because you're like, what are they gonna do to like get this stipulation over, but also like not, kill a man all in the same process. So like to see a fake eyeball pop out of Rey Mysterio's head, if you're not entertained by that, then I'm sorry, your childhood must have sucked because you have no sense of humor. It's hilarious.
And somehow it's still more grotesque than the exploding barbed wire death match at AEW.
Yeah, that was a match I thought that sucked because I was like, that ending's just stupid. Like it was funny, but like that was one of those moments I'm like, all right, that was dumb. That was just dumb.
I mean, at least now we know to keep pyrotechnics out of North American wrestling. Keep it in Japan.
Yeah, leave it in Japan. They know exactly what they're doing. We obviously do not. So,
yeah. So, I mean, now I kind of want to pivot more into your interviews kind of again. I know we've been getting a lot more coverage. I know we've talked about it on TikTok and everything, too, with like certain clips kind of going viral because of sound bites that people are kind of taking and running with. How have you been able to kind of manage, like, when people might hear one thing in an interview and next thing you know, it's going to be an article or a bunch of tweets later?
Yeah, I honestly just pick out moments that I think are just interesting, in my opinion. That's usually the question I try to ask is just stuff that I think is actually cool. And it tends to work out. I mean, there was like a situation once that I feel bad about, and I've talked to her about, even though she didn't care. I felt bad. It was with Melina, and I did an interview with her, and I asked her about her thoughts on Trish Stratus, and she gave an opinion that to me seemed justified. I was like, okay, that's fine. Put it online. And people just tore her apart. I was like, guys, I don't think this is that deep. I don't think we need to go at her life. I don't think it was that serious. Talked to Melina about it. Felt terrible. She was not mad at me at all. And I was like, but you should be, and this is why. But she's also just the nicest person to actually ever breathe oxygen. Like,
yeah, I've talked to Melina before too. She is
love
super,
her.
super nice.
Being like I can talk to Melina for like 2 hours straight, and I feel like I just learned like the answers of life. Because she'll just keep talking, and I love it.
Yeah, and then like you could also pop her for like the stuff that people don't expect to remember. Like I think I was talking to her at a signing once about like her and Michelle at Night of Champions getting in trouble for being better than the guys, and just like she will tell that story with like the biggest grin. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. Just like so many things are so easily taken out of context in today's day and age that's kind of hard to tell like what people actually mean when something is said because you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt nowadays.
Yeah, to me, I just feel like, I'm just going to put it out there. And if someone doesn't like it, I mean, that's not my opinion to have. That's their choice to view what I put out. If you don't like it, keep watching it anyway because, money. But
run that engagement up, right?
Exactly. Like, hate will give me more money. So please, you can hate it.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, sometimes they'll tell you straight to your face they do. So
They will.
I mean, as long as they put on deodorant when they do it, because it's wrestling. So,
hey man, I've been to some stinky wrestling shows, and all I will say is degree works.
Yep, degree. Hell, if we want to take it back to high school, Axe, anything is.
Yo, even the Axe, Axe smell. It has a very distinct smell, but at least that smell isn't musty. It works. So use it.
This is true. So I know we very briefly danced about it at the beginning of the show, but I mean, you've really started to do a lot more press coverage at these shows too. I know this past SummerSlam, you were helping Square or SE Scoops with some of their reporting. You had quite the adventure both to and from Detroit. So I remember getting a text saying, "Oh shit, I have to buy a new camera because someone jumped on my back."
Yeah. So I was at an airport and I had my bag sitting on the ground in front of me because it was right there in my vision, so I didn't think anything would happen. So a small child decided to jump on my bag because they are a terrible person, and I hope they fail second grade. And his dad snatched him up real quick, yelled at him, made him apologize, and I was like, "It's okay, man. Don't worry about it." I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, "Oh, what a stupid kid." Whatever. I get to the airport, not airport. I get to the hotel in Detroit. I open up my bag, and my camera smashed. I was like, "This is not even repairable." Also, I'm in Detroit, so I don't know where to take this to get repaired. So I'm like, oh, great. I will just go buy another camera. Let me spend $80 on the Uber to get to a Best Buy and then buy a $2,000 camera and then take another $80 Uber back to my hotel.
Which is why I'm mad you didn't text me, because I could have told you what to buy instead of the $2,000 camera.
Yeah, honestly, like with the minute I bought it and I saw your text, I was like, I should have just asked you. Why didn't I just ask you? Why did I just think I could just do this? I couldn't do this. I don't know anything about cameras. I'm gonna be honest. I know nothing about cameras. I should have asked someone that knew something like you. But I was frustrated and I was just, man, life wasn't fun at the moment, and then it got worse.
Hindsight's 2020, and you have a hell of a camera now. And if you need one's recommendations, I got you. So
Honestly, I'm gonna take you up on that. I might need that soon.
we're gonna get you looking extra crispy in 2024. So
hell yeah, 4K, brother.
got to have that trickle down. And I mean, you are always also just dressed to the tens too, if anything, dude.
Thank you.
You rock a fit. You have your trademark, your staple accessories, king of a fedora. So traveling back from Detroit might have been. We've had the plane ride from hell. I think this might be the layover from hell.
No, it wasn't the layover. I mean, yes, it was a layover from hell. There's so much that went on. So what happened was there decided to be a big storm. I don't know why God decided to do that to me that day, but for some reason, big storm. So I couldn't leave out of Charlotte. I leave Detroit. I had a layover in Charlotte. I get to the airport. I go to my next flight, my connecting flight, canceled. Or no, delayed. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll sit around for 4 hours. Eventually canceled. I'm like, all right, great. 8 hours at that point wasted. I get another flight about 10 p.m. We're about to board it. As in, I am like next in line to get onto this plane. Canceled. I'm like, oh, okay. So you guys are playing games today. That's how we're going to play this. Alrighty, that's fine. Well, I have no choice but to play with you because I have nothing else to do for the rest of the night. So I get my next flight, which is for 8 in the morning. So I'm like, great. I'll sleep on the floor after paying for $13 Cheez-Its. So I sleep on the floor with my $13 Cheez-Its. They were great because I was starving. I sleep on my bag. I take this hat. That hat, it was black. And I set it next to me, right? I sleep on top of my bag with my hat sitting next to me like a lonely cowboy. I wake up, the hat is gone. Who steals a fedora, bruh? There's so many other things in the world to take. You could take my Crocs that I'm sure fell off my feet at that point because I was like rolling around on the floor, sleep. But you take.
Now they could have taken the new camera.
If that happened, bro, I would have actually died. I would have died. For sure. But like honestly, a camera over my hat was way more valuable, honestly, because aesthetics were popping. It's like, I don't know. But the point is, they took my hat, and that was crazy. So I bought this hat. I bought that hat. Now I got 2 hats. Try me again and see what's going to happen. It is open mic night.
Well, I mean, if anyone's going to be in Chicago for either the Thanksgiving Dynamite or for Survivor Series weekend, if you can somehow steal this man's fedora, I will personally Venmo you.
If you steal my fedora, I'm going to cry. And I'm going to tell your mother that you're an awful person for stealing me hat.
Not me hat.
And your grandma, too. And your auntie.
See, is it bad that I hear me hat and I just think of Mr. Krabs saying, rip me for me millions of dollars?
That's what I was thinking of, too.
Same energy. Remind me to make that in Microsoft Paint for you. We'll have a memoriam. We'll get you a prayer candle. It'll be great.
Thank you. I'm going to need that.
Yes. So, I mean, kind of just to wrap things up, I mean, you've had a hell of a 2023. We're getting ready to close it out. What are you looking forward to in 2024?
I got a lot going on. So I plan on competing a lot in CrossFit. I have my first CrossFit meet in 2 weeks. I'm not prepared, so it's going to suck, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to step in a wrestling ring, possibly, and have a match, possibly. Or I might not. Match? Sanctioned. Ooh. Yeah, it's going to be for the WWE, and it's going to be against Dana Brooke. That's not possible. Tiffany Stratton. There we go. Moving on from that, I'm also going to get into boxing. I plan on becoming an influencer boxer, so catch me outside, Misfits. I'm going to fight Jake Paul. I'm going to win. I also plan on interviewing a lot more people. We're gonna do a lot more. I got big things coming very soon. More WWE interviews very soon. More AEW interviews very soon. Impact Wrestling TNA interviews very soon. I got big names coming up. I can't tell you who they are because I haven't talked to them yet, and I haven't confirmed it either, and I haven't even emailed them. But they're coming up.
Hey, we're speaking things into existence. The power of
I
manifestation.
will interview Omos in 2024. You heard it here first, and when it happens, I will Venmo you $2.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not gushing over him the whole time, you might get starstruck. Who's to say that you're?
I might just faint, but honestly, it'll make for great content, and that's the goal.
I mean, if you fall out, we'll just make sure that New Day's there with their cloth over there, like young Reverend Big E.
True. And make sure no one steals my hat, though, because that'd be messed. If Omos steals my hat, I actually might cry.
No, we're going to have to get you one of those chin straps like Molly Holly had back in the day for the wig after the hair versus title match,
You're smart. You're a smart man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for all you have coming up next year. Not that we don't already know where to find you, but Malcolm, where can we find you?
Man, you can find me anywhere. I mean, usually I go to the supermarket on Thursdays, so you want to pull up. I'm out in Pennsylvania. You might find me in the Prime section or buying Brussels sprouts or something. But if not, if you want to go on social media, you can find me on Malcolm Muscle, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok. You can follow me on Threads, Muscleman Malcolm. You can also find me on YouTube, Muscleman Malcolm. I'm that guy. I'm him. I'm the best wrestling interviewer to actually ever breathe oxygen, besides Chris Van Vliet, Sean Ross Sapp, and Denise Salcedo, and a list of 12 other people. But I am in that top 15. I'm number 16. But I'm Malcolm, Muscleman Malcolm, the best.
And I had to have the best for the first ever episode of My Guest at This Time. If you guys like this show, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button for future interviews. Make sure that you are commenting who you would like to see on the show. Anything is with fair game when it comes to wrestling stuff. It could be personalities. It could be broadcasters, performers, managers, wrestlers. Anything. Send them my way. I'd love to chat with you guys.
You want to see Ella J on the pod, bruh.
Oh, if I had a nickel every time I've asked LJ to do a podcast, I'd have a fistful of change. Trust me. And I know she's game for it, too. So, Ella, don't be surprised if I text you in, 5 minutes saying, hey, want to do a podcast?
You have to. Now I already said it. You have to. That'd be messed up if you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, all I have to do is just, touch my mic, and then she's going to feel a disturbance in the force. God,
word.
Jose now.
She's probably writing an article as we speak.
Yeah, but you know what I need now? I need you guys to follow me, Jose on the Air, on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok. I have Threads. I don't use Threads as much. Subject to change. Who's to say? Follow this channel, Jose on the Air. Follow my gaming stuff, Jose Can You See? Letters U and C, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.